Hi, my name is Michelepaiva. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and this video is going to be a little bit different. If at any time during this video you feel that we have some kind of a connection, please subscribe, ring the bell, and write a comment below. I would love to hear your feedback on everything that we're going to talk about right now. Today we're going to be talking about feeling overly social and underconnected. This video was inspired by the documentary The Social Dilemma. But today we're going to be talking about some of the dangers of social networking, what it's doing to our daughters and sons, and what it's doing to us, and what it's doing to our wallets. So let me back up with social networking has actually been in the making and around since the 70s. However, it wasn't really until 1999 about where we started seeing more social networking like MySpace and so forth. Things really changed in the 2010s, where we saw more of Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and more social networking, where it became more of a norm. So in the 80s, we started seeing more of the MTV era and the materialism. So from 85 to about 89, we saw an explosion of not only musical artists, but also it really mattered, and really they were influencing what we were wearing and how we were seeing ourselves. Interestingly, that's also the first jump or the first wave of increased suicides with both teenagers and adults. In evolutionary psychology, we know that we had originally more of a tribe, and we would compare ourselves in that tribe. And in that tribe, everyone had a job, a gift, a talent, a skill. And if we really did not, we learned something. And whenever we had a tribe like that, we were very important. Now, when the tribe becomes bigger and we're comparing ourselves to people that we can't compete with because what we're seeing is a brand or a fabrication of who they are. We're not really seeing their true self. Even when a celebrity is struggling, we tend to glorify that struggle. So for instance, if a celebrity is in and out of rehab and has struggles with drugs, we tend to feel sorry for them. We tend to assume that they're a spokesperson for all of the people that are struggling. But if your neighbor is having the same thing, you tend to frown upon that, right? You don't want that around you. You don't want to live with it. Or worse yet, if you're having it, you might feel shame. We hold celebrities to a very different bar. So let's fast forward. The next wave of suicides and the next wave that a lot of therapists saw more anxiety, more ADHD, more depression, more bullying was around the 2009-2010 time frame. That has not decreased. That has only gone up. And that was also the time that we saw more of the social networking apps on our cell phones. For those of us that are old enough to remember this, either as parents or as children, do you remember a time where you had a certain amount of computer time? So you had the computer for maybe an hour a day. Part of that was to do homework, and you can kind of just putz around on it a little bit if you needed to. And if there were 5 children in the house, you had to share that one computer. This isn't that unlike how televisions were. Early on, when televisions first came out, you had one television in the middle of the living room or den, and everyone huddled around the television and enjoyed television shows together for the most part. Later on in the 80s and 90s, almost everyone had a television in their bedroom. Some people even had televisions in their kitchen and bathrooms. Almost everyone has a cell phone now, and there's a lot of parents that are purchasing cell phones for their children at 8 and 9 years old, some even younger. And even in countries where you think that there wouldn't be a lot of cell phones because there might be a lot of poverty, most of them have cell phones. In fact, most people in Vietnam and India each have their own cell phone. And with each and every person that has a cell phone, there are free apps for the social networking sites, making it very easy to be connected 24/7. So in 2009-2010, in addition to the explosion of social networking being used, we've also seen an explosion of suicides. And just like COVID, where it's not just about the death rate, we're also seeing a lower quality of life. So we're seeing much more anxiety, much more self-harm, much more depression, feelings of low self-worth, body image struggles, cheating, betrayal. Most individuals, including preteens that have a cell phone and have social networking apps on those cell phones, are spending 3 to 7 hours minimum on their cell phones, on social networking. Just to give you an idea, for younger children that have a cell phone, just 2 hours a day on their cell phone is lowering their language and their cognitive function. At 7 hours a day for anyone, it is thinning the brain cortex, which is responsible for critical thinking and reasoning. This is very important. So this is very important because if we have lower mental functioning, we are more easily manipulated. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the neuromarketing and regressive analytics that goes into neuromarketing and tracks you and so forth. You can get a lot of that in the movie The Social Dilemma, and understanding how much you're tracked more than you can possibly believe. I need to make a statement here that a lot of parents are online and on their phones and not even interacting with their children. So the problem isn't just about the children being online, okay? Parents need to be more self-responsible and accountable and understand that when you are on your phone in front of your child, not only are you a role model and telling your child essentially through body language that this is what's important in your life, but what you're showing them is that when they get older, and this is even if they don't have a cell phone, you're showing them that this is what they should be when they get older. After I watched that documentary, I did some more research and I found that not only is there not that much of a difference in gender usage of apps for social networking, but there wasn't really a difference with race, with income, with education. So it's a lot like COVID, where it's an equal opportunity employer of the dismantling of your quality of life. Now, why are some people so attracted to social networking? Well, number one, yes, you do get to connect. And I'm not saying that social networking unto itself is horrific. If you use it wisely, it's very positive. But in general, it is a lot of validation focus. So there's the likes, there's the comments. If you post something and no one even comments at all or no one likes it, you may feel like in some way you're being rejected. And so a lot of what you're posting or putting out there is going to be about affirmation for yourself. You see a lot of people posting before and after pictures of their weight loss or their weight gain or whatever, or anything that's happening in their life. You see a lot of the before and after pictures. You also see a lot of filters. So on Instagram, on Pinterest, a lot of the focus is on filters. So there's actually a lot of deception happening, and a lot of what is promoted, even on YouTube with some of the beauty bloggers, is that you have to correct something. So it's not just about learning something new or enhancing who you are. It's about, in some way, you're inherently wrong. So we see a lot of this popularity focus, and popularity does not equate to happiness. And in fact, happiness doesn't even equate to ongoing happiness. So we have dopamine rushes when we purchase something, or we're anticipating something, or when we're imagining ourselves in a certain situation. But that is usually short-lived. Most of your true happiness is coming from your own internal happiness, which has nothing to do with anyone else's opinion or anything that you purchase or anything that you own or have. It's really just about who you are. And a lot of people are filling themselves up with externals. If you or your child is 30 years old or younger, you've pretty much been brought up in this environment where externals are the main focus of happiness. A lot of people feel that being social on social networking is a skill, that it's a people skill. And the reality is it's more of a popularity contest on affirmation. Now, I know that we're in COVID and a lot of us are in lockdown or social distancing, but I'm talking about the day-to-day. And at some point, we're not going to be in this situation anymore. But there's a lot of people that way before COVID only interacted online. And you have to understand that social networking is not the same as social skills. For some people, it can be a little bit of a segue or a building block, but for most people, you really have to get out and interact with people and have eye contact and look at body language. You have to be able to hear someone and hear the inflections of their voice and the way they say things and their mannerisms. There's a lower quality of life right now more than ever, not just because of COVID, and there's more suicides right now, and not just because of isolation. A lot of it does have to do with social networking and social networking being out of control for most people. Really pay attention to being more connected to your truth. What is it that you're really online for? When you're going through Instagram or you're going through Pinterest, are you spending a lot of time in the wishing phase? And understand, even if it's Pinterest, the recipes, the front doors, everything looks like a stage setting these days. Really take a look at not so much even just your children right now, but you. Now, for some of you, you may or may not have children, so let's not even talk about children right now, although that is a very big issue. Let's talk about you right now. How can you step away from maybe Instagram, Facebook, or Pinterest, the types of social networking that can make you compare yourself to others, or the things that you own are just not good enough, or your house doesn't look good enough, your front door doesn't look like the ones on Pinterest, or that you don't look like the people who are heavily made up and filtered on Instagram. How can you take a step back away from that? When you can step away from that, you're going to notice that you spend less time wanting to be online. You spend less money because you're not chasing the next beautiful thing, or the next filter, or the next foundation, or the next primer, or the next fashion statement. You're just happy with what you have. Now, on that topic, I have a video that I want to show you where I went through my closet and I went from over 500 pieces of clothing down to like 38 items. And I want to show you that right now because that will help you to understand when you take a step away from the externals and what you think that you need and really go down to what you truly desire, how your truth is much more meaningful. So that video is right here and it is linked below. And I would love to hear your input on what you feel about social networking and what you feel about Instagram, YouTube, or Pinterest, or any of the social networking networks, or depression in children, adults, anxiety, all of that. So go ahead and leave a comment below, and please subscribe and ring the bell. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I didn't want to make this a really long video. There's so much I could say about it. Let me know if you want me to do another video on a particular topic within this genre, and just comment below.